Great, so you've heard a lot about big money, and I love big money. I mean, who in this room doesn't love big money, especially when we're talking big money for cancer research? I mean, let's talk about how to get some big money. So you heard some discussions around, and I'm Randy Hisson, by the way. So
I'm sorry, I did not introduce her. She's amazing. She's a former co-chair also, so she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, so thanks. And I was a candidate a million years ago. So you heard Diana talk about, and Libby talk about, making personal asks for big money from individual people. And I want to share with you how to make big asks for people, still the same, you're making the big asks of people through their company. And so there are a few key things to do this. So the first one is, in your packet, or on a back table, and on your flash drive, you have this large document, I don't know what to call it, that has this kind of gaudy map on the front of it that talks about sponsorship opportunities. And when you think about companies and you think about organizations, there are usually two big buckets of money there. I would say three. So the first big bucket of money is the individuals who work in that company, and that's the big asks we just talked about. The second bucket of money, this is one that's historically been there, is some companies will have some kind of philanthropy built into their budget, right? They're planning to give, just give, this much money a year. So that's the philanthropic bucket for the company. Then there's a third bucket of money, right? So we're talking three kinds of big money with companies. This third bucket is marketing dollars. And so historically, nonprofits have gone after the charitable bucket that they gave. When hard times hit, that often gets cut by companies. Today, a lot of companies and organizations may not necessarily have a sponsorship or charitable bucket anymore, but they all have a marketing bucket. And so one of the key things that we've done over the last few years is revamp some of our corporate sponsorship opportunities. And so what you'll find on this document, I don't know if you all have it or what it looks like, but on the back, there are all these descriptions. And these are really talking about how can you help them build a relationship with whether it's your donors, whether it's people that come to the gala, whether it's people that are involved with LLS in general. How can you really leverage this opportunity for them to not just give money, but you're giving them an opportunity to partner with you. And that's the same with anyone you're asking for money. You're not just asking them for money, you're asking them to partner with you and build that relationship. So when you look at these, there's different levels of sponsorship. And again, they're in your packet, it's on your flash drive. And you have this nice 2018 sponsorship opportunities, very corporate looking document that you can share with them. And it gives different levels of sponsorship. I like this page. There's levels ranging from $5,000 to $100,000. And it shows them what opportunities they have at the different levels. And so, as Libby talked about, when you're thinking about approaching a company for money, you want to make sure that you're not asking what you think is a safe bet, right? I bet this company is definitely going to give me at least $5,000. The last thing you do is ask that company for $5,000. You ask that company for $25,000. That's what you do. You want big money. And then if they come in at $5,000, great. If they come in at $10,000, they exceeded your expectations, but they think they've, it's a compromise. So always ask for more money than you think they could actually give you. And then talk about what the benefits are. Why you're involved is really important. And again, you're not asking a company for money, you're thinking about who you know at that organization, who your team members know at that organization, who a friend of a friend of a friend on LinkedIn knows at an organization at a high level that can be a decision maker for you. And you're working with them to build that relationship to make that ask. I've seen lots of teams have different strategies. I've seen a team that was really successful that they had a team member dedicated to grant applications, trying to get funding that way. I'll tell you, that is a really long process, and your timeline is not nearly as long as a grant process. So I would recommend, and again, I think one of the key messages we want to share with you today is really Today is a great day to start, and if it's not today, it's tomorrow, but it is as soon as possible, and thinking about these things and being strategic. So when you think about the relationships you have, oh, this chair turns. When you think about the relationships you have with high-level folks at different organizations, you want to think about who are the key people that are influencers, and who else do you know who knows them. And your real goal is to get an in-person meeting. And so one of the things you have in your packet, on your flash drive, and again, everything you need is on that little piece of metal. One of the key things you're going to want to do is share with them information. And so there's a deck in there that you can send out with your personalized email to your person at your company about what you're doing and why you're involved and why specifically you think it's a good opportunity for that company and that you want to come in and talk to them. Once you've identified a company and they've tentatively agreed for whatever wonderful reason you've given them, the compelling reason that they can't say no to meet with you, you'll have the opportunity to meet with them, and LLS staff will come with you. And they'll meet with you in advance so that you have a game plan going in. You can talk it over with them about how much money you think you should ask for, what that sponsorship could look like. And then you go in, you talk to them about it, and you leave with a commitment. All of those things I just said, getting the commitment, those can all happen tomorrow. The thing that can't happen until March 26th is then actually giving you the check. So,
and remind them that it is a tax write-off, so it really benefits the company as well.
yeah, so speaking of taxes, a lot of the companies recently got a big tax break. So they have extra money to give. So let's go for that free money. So those are some of the key pieces. But again, you can ask for the meeting now. You can have the meeting now. You can make the commitment. You just can't receive the check until March 26th. For some companies, it takes them 10 weeks to get you a check. So you want to ask now to make sure your check comes in during your campaign, because nothing is worse than someone saying yes and then your check coming in 2 weeks after the campaign closes. That's still great. It's still good money for cancer research, but wouldn't it have been awesome if it came in 2 weeks sooner? So ask early. And one of my personal stories, so I work at UCLA Health, and I was a candidate, I guess 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And I knew our CEO pretty well, and I kept thinking, man, what is the best way to approach him about this? I really want to make sure I ask it in this perfect way. I'm really going to talk to other people about how to ask him. And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it. And one morning I woke up at 5 a.m. and I was like, I just gotta ask it, right? So I write this email at 5:30 in the morning, and 5 minutes later he writes back, sure, sounds great, we're in for $5,000. And I was like, oh, how much of my mental energy have I spent thinking about this when I could have been asking more people for money once I got his money? So my second comment on corporate sponsorship is don't overthink it. There's lots of, certainly put thought into it, but at some point, move to action. The time is now. There is an urgency to your ask, and you need to move forward with that. The other thing I want to talk about in terms of free money from companies, this is the fourth bucket. This is called matching gifts. So there are a lot of companies, especially larger corporations, that have matching gift opportunities for you. I would encourage you to research what those companies are. It may be on the flash drive, I don't know. Some companies match more than others. So when I was a candidate, I looked at my list, and PepsiCo, I think at the time, donated 3-to-1 of a company match. I had 5 friends that worked at PepsiCo, so they all got a very specific email. If you give me this money, I will get 3 times more from PepsiCo. And here's the form you need to fill out for that. So it's a great opportunity for you, not only to get the free money from the company, but those people gave me more money because they knew I would get even more from their company. So one strategy is just to have somebody who looks at your donor list afterwards and make sure that your matching gifts are followed up on. The other is to have someone, possibly a team member, who stalks your LinkedIn, all of your friends' LinkedIn, in advance, identifies those potential prospects, and then asks them for more money because of that potential match. So those are my key opportunities, but really the real benefits of corporate sponsorships are it's free big money. There's 4 different buckets of money in a company, so go after all 4 with all your might, and then next year you can be a panelist and talk about how great it was. So Good luck, have fun,